So in the coming days, DLC for the Silence and the Fury will be launching, and you will all be asking, what are we actually getting from this? There are a lot of videos online going around detailing this and that part of the update. However, today you are here to get a short summary in what the update gives them. What you will get if you own the Call of the Beastmen DLC, and what you will get if you will buy the Silence and the Fury DLC. Starting off with the free update, free with inverted commas because you need to pay for the Call of the Beastmen. It's essentially an update to the current content, and we have a lot to talk about. The first and most important part of the update is that the entire rework of how Beastmen recruit, research, settle, and yes, they do settle now, as well as their new Dread mechanic system. These updates are essentially a playtest for what we could potentially see for Chaos in Total War Warhammer 3, and I am so excited because this looks so awesome. With a few tweaks and changes, they picked up the Tomb King's free armies, yet limited units mechanic and gave it to the Beastmen, essentially allowing you to circumvent the biggest weakness that Beastmen had prior to this DLC, and that was the inability to make money and sustain your own armies. Now we no longer have army upkeep, yet they made it much harder for you to recruit higher tier units and spam higher tier units, as you need to increase their unit cap slowly using the Dread mechanic, which we'll speak about in a second. The next part of the update is the research tree that has been rebuilt completely, and it is nothing special in itself, yet it is simple and effective in what it does. This is going to be a team with the Beastmen. They are nothing special as individual units or individual mechanics, but on the whole they are functioning as an excellent mechanic that builds into a brilliant experience overall. This brings me to their settlements and Dread. Normally, Tomb Kings, you need to build high tier units to access high tier buildings to access high tier units, and then you need to build multiples of them to increase the cap. This is not the same with Beastmen. With Beastmen, it's different. You need to build the buildings to be able to recruit. However, this is a cheap cost, as normally when you lose your army, or in case settlement for Tomb Kings, you will lose the upgrades and hence your progress. However, with the Beastmen, they built a system where you permanently gain the two resources, Dread and Marks of Ruination. Dread gives you the ability to increase your army caps, unit caps, buy high tier hearthstones, we'll get to them in a second, and confederate other legendary lords, among other things. This, even if they have been vanquished in the campaign. Yes, Beastmen still get wiped out in 20 turns for the most part of the campaign. The meme is still alive, and when they are played by the AI, they're still shite. Dread can be accumulated from buildings, battles, quests, and even though you will get a decent volume of it, it is still quite important to know how to spend it. Marks of Ruination are collected from Hearthstone rituals. This allows you to upgrade Hearthstones that you settle. Hearthstones are the new settlement for Beastmen. You are allowed to settle on ruins of old cities that you've blown up, allowing you to collect Marks of Ruination through a ritual that you will need to unlock higher units, research, and Dread technologies. Collecting the Marks of Ruination happens from blowing up armies and settlements or of other factions inside the blood ground that forms. These are essentially the hunting ground for the Beastmen around their Hearthstone. The more blood shed in the blood ground, the more power you get, the more Marks of Ruination, and the better the ritual will be. Once the blood ground is settled and the ritual is finished, finally Beastmen can exert a measure of control over the settlements, or in this case, ruins in the area. As long as the Hearthstone is still up, the rituals that have been completed, the blood grounds cannot be settled by other factions. They are infested with chaos and they are not easily traversed. This allows you to be able to systematically annihilate other factions one by one. The final thing that Marks of Ruination do is also give you the ability to recruit more armies, finally allowing you to start spending Dread to increase the army caps. This gets expensive really fast, so be careful. And then on top of this, through Total War Access, you get access to the new Bray Sharman Lord, which is very nice to have. Finally, talking about lords, all three base legendary lords have been reworked, with the most significant one of them being Malagor, who now flies around the battlefield casting endless magic. A real and proper Doom Herald of Doom. Kazrak, on the other hand, gets some nice new toys as well. He's Kazrak. However, finally Morgor, although he gets a good upgrade, he is still kinda shit, especially compared to his peers. This is what you're gonna get if you do not buy the new DLC. And yes, wait, this is all coming to everyone that owns Call of the Beastmen. Yes, it is. I will tell you, if you'd like to get it on the cheap, use my link down below for instant gaming. Shameless plug. Just be careful, it's usually region locked, so make sure that you're buying it for your right region. And you'll probably get a decent discount while you're doing it. Finally, if you do get the Silence and the Fury DLC, this will give you the new Legendary Lord and faction of Torox, the Brass Bull. An incredible new mechanic, which his rampage allows him to have more power the more battles you fight. Essentially, if in one turn you can fight endlessly given enemies are in your range, you can keep refreshing your rampage, hence giving yourself more movement points on the campaign map, and more buffs. Apart from this, they also introduced two new amazing units, which are the Gorgon and the Jebusite. They are incredibly powerful and they're really nice to play with. The Gorgon is a very good way to deal with single target entities, doing incredibly high damage to single units, whereas Jebusite decimates fields of infantry through the Morse's engine effect. For those who have no idea what that means, it's simple. It's constant damage over time, dot, in an area of effect, AoE, around it, to anyone who gets in contact with it. So Doom stack of Jebusite, it's gonna be crazy. On top of this, we also get the ability to play Torox in the Vortex map, and I think it is definitely a great update because it does give you access to that, even if you do not own Warhammer 1 Enhanced Mortal Empires. A lot of valuable changes have been done to improve our campaign experience, both if you have played with Beastmen before or they're completely new to you. However, I must say that I cannot give you guys a review of this DLC, as I have not yet played enough of all the campaigns in detail. This has been Linksy, and you just had the Beastmen in a nutshell. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you haven't, and goodbye!